Yeah, so every now and again the internet acts up due to either interruptions or testing. I think it was just an interruption. Typically, if you're doing a standard network testing, it would be far longer than that. Alright, so let's continue. Hopefully I am able to get at least an hour in today. I need to go to work later on tonight. If I'm able to get another 30 minutes in, I'll be happy.
My mistress is very...
Oh, what a horrible thing to have happened.
You should examine the body of Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
So, Watson, what have you learned from examining Sir Eustace's body?
Well, I can confirm that the death was instant. Sir Eustace was facing his attacker when he received the blow to his head. There are no other apparent injuries.
Okay, so Watson says he was facing the person because the blow came from the front, and it was an instant death due to the force of the blow. Okay. So it didn't take much to kill this guy, which means the person who did the blow is extremely strong, or Mr. Eustace's condition with regards to his health was already in high effect, which means it didn't take that much of a strength of a blow just to kill him, because he was already having nervous system problems. Shattering his head with the poker already probably triple or quadruple the effects of his physical condition. He would have died um, from his condition anyway, but over a period of time where the blow made it instantaneous.
The hunting scene.
This is the dining room. You have hunting trophies in his dining room, so when he's eating food with his wife and family, they're looking at dead animals on the wall. Yeah, these people are assholes. You really gotta be an asshole to have in your dining room trophies of dead animals.
A trapper's hut.
Probably one of the main reasons she didn't like him, because he's actually a killer himself. Not of people, but of animals. Come on.
A trapper's hut.
There's a painting on the ceiling. What type of painting is it? Huh? Or it's just a...
The hunting scene. Antique hunting weapons.
So this person was very proud of his hobbies. Even when he's eating, he was paying attention to them.
An empty silverware box. It appears that the intruders have stolen the contents.
Silverware. So they're not interested in any trophy or the money he has inside of his wall, or the paintings covering it, but they're interested in silverware. I mean, I know silverware was kind of expensive back in the day, but it's not like it was expensive as in you could make a life off of it.
These wine bottles are expensive and mostly from France.
Still won't be able to make money if they stole the whole shebang of wine bottles. They would have to steal things that were worth tens of thousands of dollars altogether.
This candlestick is valuable. It is interesting that it was not also stolen.
Yes, it's very weird that they didn't take a lot of stuff. They only took the silverware, maybe one wine bottle, but they didn't take any candles whatsoever at all. Like everything in this guy's house is probably very expensive, but they only cared about the silverware and one wine bottle. Probably took the wine bottle just to drink it, but
This candlestick.
shattered glass.
An empty.
Very strange indeed. And if you're gonna take one wine bottle, take the whole thing. So they weren't interested in selling the wine bottles. They were just interested in the silverware. It's weird. And the silverware is shattered as if there was something inside of the silverware molded into the silverware. Maybe into the metal of the silverware or into the porcelain of the plates or a cup or something, or clay. Strange.
The hunting scene. A fur trader's cabin.
This is weird.
It appears that the bell rope was cut by someone taller than me.
Bell rope. The servant bell. Ring the bell for the servant to come in. Why would they? Okay, so okay. They didn't want anyone to enter into the room because the servant bell will go off and signal them. So the person cut it high enough so that, well, that wouldn't make sense. The person just cut it because they're tall. Alright. Nothing else. Let's just check the body. This is cane.
Quite a large stick, a formidable weapon. That must be the murder weapon. That must... It is covered in blood. Sir Eustace might have struck his head upon it while falling from the blow. That is one possible explanation.
But he was, yeah, okay, so if he's facing his attacker and the blow was instantaneous to his head, he would fall, the blood would splatter onto the fireplace, which means if the blood is splattered from his head onto the fireplace in a frontal way, the blood would go out frontwards, which means he would then fall down to the floor. So the person who he was fighting with was facing was to the left of him, and he was to the right, if we're considering it from standing point. He was standing over here, or near the fireplace here, but he was standing over here, and they were standing over here. They hit him in the head, the blood came out, fell onto the fireplace, he collapsed on the ground here. So he was standing to the right, and they were standing to the left. So the blow is, I believe, to the right side, I mean the left side of his head. Okay. So the person took their right hand and struck the left side of his head, rather than took their left hand and struck the left side of his head, because that would be weird. Unless they swing 45 degrees. But if the swing was 45 degrees, then the blow would be at an angle.
The head was cracked with the force of the blow.
So left hand would hit the left side of the person's head, whereas right hand will also hit the left side of the head if the intended swing was directly coming downwards. It was from the right hand, it would go completely downwards and hit the left side of the head. But if the blow was a swing rather than a strike downwards, it would come from the left hand instead of the right. But it looked like it was a direct swing forward. So the person probably used both hands to do a heavy blow onto the left side of the head. Like, if it wasn't a strong person, then it was, well, strong or weak, it doesn't matter. If it was took one blow, they probably used both hands for the one blow with the poker.
That barefoot, he had therefore been in bed and did not have time to fully dress.
Yes, he was walking around the house barefooted. Now, normal people don't walk around their house barefooted. The only time they in their bare feet and they don't have socks or shoes on is because that they were in bed. So he got out the bed to see what was going on after probably drinking and stuff. Probably still was boozed up. And he came from this door into the room and saw them, rather than coming from this door, if we're talking about being struck and falling. Because his body, based on this, would means his leg was over here and collapsed downwards this way, rather than if he was standing here, hit in the head, he would fall backwards and he would be downwards this way. So if he fell forward, he would fall forward, and his body would be facing this way, forward this way. Or if he had fell backwards, his body would be facing this way, but more at the angle here. So he had to be standing here, fall forward this way. Or if he was going to fall backwards, he would fall backwards and he would be facing this way. So he fell forward this way, which means he came from over here through this door. It's hard for me to believe he walked through this door and then get into an argument and then someone hit him and he fell at an angle here, unless he pushed the attacker, like unless the attackers were here. He saw them, caught them red-handed stealing after he came through the door over here, and he tried to attack them and they charged him forward. They hit him and he fell backwards here. That would be the only explanation for him coming through this door. If they were over here. If they were not over here, then he came through this door. Alright. Which seems more likely now. If they were stealing and they were over here, he wouldn't be able to come through this door. Otherwise he would have saw them immediately and the confrontation would happen in front of the door rather than over here. Unless he did come through the door and saw them here and they struggled and they hit him and then he fell over here. Seems more likely the case that he either walked through here and caught him over there, took the weapon, took the poker from the fireplace and was going to use it on them. They disarmed it. But no, I don't think so. The cane was probably in his hand when he came through the door. He didn't take the poker. Someone took the poker, so someone walked over here, was able to defend himself using the poker and hit him. Which can mean only one thing. It's like I said, they were over here and he came through there. Or he came through here, saw them over there, and then someone aside from the other two people were probably over here. At least one was over here and the other two were over there. That person took a poker and hit him once he turned around in the face and he fell. Because if all three of them weren't over here, it wouldn't be able to grab that poker and then hit him if he was coming from this direction to attack towards them. They would have to have time to grab the poker and then hit him forward. So someone is either behind him and the other two are in front of him, or they were both in front of him. One of them was in front of the fireplace when he came through here. It's one or the other.
This door leads to the upstairs bedrooms. Apparently the criminals did not venture there.
Okay, so yes, that's exactly what happened. Before I even opened the door, I knew that's what would happen. If he didn't go through there, it's highly likely that he came through here, the bedroom, walked through the bedroom, saw broken stuff here, and saw them near the fireplace. Went to attack them, facing this direction. They were over here. They took the poker to defend themselves. They hit him this direction. He collapsed and fell because he came through that door.
The death was instant.
That's all you got from me. Okay, so this would be the chair that she was tied up in. So when he came through that door, he would have saw her directly in front of her and probably attempt to try to untie her. They probably caught him and hit him. So yeah, it makes sense now.
Sailor's knots. That's interesting. This rope was handled by the murderers. We need a scent hound to follow their trail. I will take it with me.
Yeah, it's going to take it to Toby.
This is the chair that Lady Brackenstall was tied to.
So He came out the bedroom, saw her tied to the chair directly. They were probably standing over here, or one of them was over here while she was there. He surprised them, probably knocked this one over, or knocked a couple of them over here. They fell and got into a scuffle. The other ones that were over here probably saw this. Then he went to try to attack them, or they went to try to attack him. He fought them, and eventually they ran towards here and came back and hit him forward as he was charging them. And then he fell here. It's the only thing that makes sense. They either ransacked this beforehand and stood at the fireplace, or they ransacked there, and then one of them, or one of the three, was standing here and hit him in the head. When he turned around, he fell here. So it was a bit of a struggle with regards to maybe one or two, and the third one, which is more likely the tall one, is the one that used the poker to kill him with. I'm gonna take this to Toby.
Come on, Toby. We need the best nose in the British Empire on this case.
I agree with you, Toby, that Watson's shoe is preferable to Mrs. Hudson's cold cuts. I agree.
Someone should take Toby for a walk.
Okay, so Toby's in a mood. He's not going to do his job because he hasn't gotten his walk yet. Okay, fine.
I agree with you, Toby, that Watson's shoe is preferable to Mrs. Hudson's cold cuts.
Okay, so I have to come back. I have to come back. Toby's not ready. Watson's going to take him for a walk. Change outfit while I'm at it. Yeah, this won't work. You can only use his wardrobe as a disguise. Can't randomly wear it unless it's part of the plot of the game. Relative meaning. So, let's see. Since Toby's unavailable at the moment, collect Toby from Baker Street and follow the scent trail. Well, I did try to connect Toby, but he wants to go for a walk right now. Inspect the crime scene in the dining room, which I already did. Inspect the room where Lady Bradshaw is resting. Already did. Alright, so I have to piece together certain things. maybe that's when Toby will become available. Alright, so start with violent behavior and combine that with I think I'll start with no personal life and oh, okay. There was something missing at their place. I think I didn't fully check. I'll bring Toby with me. Oh, but he won't.
Search, Toby.
Okay, I thought Toby was going to need to walk. I think I'm starting to like this one better than the last one. Toby's involved.
The intruders entered the shed for some reason when they were making off with the silverware.
Interesting. Now, why would they care about going into the shed? Unless they needed something from the shed in order to break into the house with. It would have to be something very specific in order to get into the house. Now, there weren't bolt cutters back then, so it would have to be something very specific. Unless the ropes, the sailor's ropes, were inside of the shed itself. Which means that Mr. Eustace used to be on a sailor's boat, or own a sailor's boat, and did jobs on a sailor's boat. And travel, I believe his wife traveled by ship in order to get here. He could have been on the same ship and saw her, came up with a plan. I'm not sure if him being dead was part of that plan. Or maybe he didn't have anything to do with it. The rope on the ship. Maybe she has something to do with the rope from the ship. Which means many of these things could have been premeditated way in advance. But that's speculation. So Toby was put in this room to follow the scent, and the scent came from the shed. So they were in the shed first, and then they came That's weird. I already opened it. So it's going from a shed to... Yeah, it's going from the shed towards the front of the house, and from the front of the house. So let's see. They entered through the well. They either enter through the well or escape through the well.
The scent leads to the well. I should check it.
Okay, so no, they enter through here. After they entered here,
The intruder's trail is lost behind this wall.
okay,
The criminals left the house through the French window. They walked to the shed, then across to the well, before fleeing by climbing over the wall. I wonder why they chose such a winding route.
yeah, it's just very strange. Unless they actually hopped over the fence first, then went to take something from the well itself, and then proceed towards the whatever was in the well to unlock the shed, and then from the shed into the house. So either something was okay, let's say they followed the path and escape. As Holmes said, they jumped over the fence. They would have to originally come through the well, which makes sense. They came through the well, and from the well they went to the shed and got whatever they can out of the shed in order to go into the house, and then they escaped over the wall. Alright, because from Toby's nose, this logically how things are set doesn't really make sense. They had to have entered from somewhere and then exit from somewhere. So they either entered by jumping over the wall, or they entered from the well itself. One or the other. They either enter or exit over the wall, or enter or exit through the well. But no matter which is the case, they went into the shed to get something, which they probably would need in order to unlock the door to get into the house. That makes sense.
Brave Toby. The best nose in the British Empire.
So, unless the path is directly as Toby shows it, they entered from somewhere, and because we're doing things from the perspective of killing first and then proceeding from outside of the house to the last location. The last location was the wall, so the first location would probably be the wall, and the next location would be the well, for which they took something out of the well, and from the well they proceed to the shed, and from the shed they proceed inside of the house. That's the only thing that makes sense. It's one or the other. They either escape over the fence or escape through the well. So they came to the well or they came through the fence. neither. So it doesn't really matter. So, okay. What else? I'm going to start with the wall first. Well, Toby already took care of the wall for me. But there might be something else. The wall. Or at the well. So I'm gonna look to see. Actually, I wonder first. Let me go to, since the either the escape or
The intruder's trail is lost behind this wall.
okay. Let's see about this. Okay, we'll check this first.
There's something glittering at the bottom there, but how can I reach it?
What do you mean how? It's kind of simple.
I need a hook.
Yeah, we get it out of the shed. Okay. So it would seems like, okay, if this is a well that doesn't lead to anywhere, and it's just a deep well with water where it doesn't go anywhere, then the logic would be that they came from the wall and exit from the wall. And the only reason that they would deal with the well is to throw something down the well that they found. But in order to break into the house, they need something from in here. Something to access the well and to access the house.
This hook might be useful. Bags of seed. Some empty bags were recently moved.
Now here's another thing. If they didn't break into this shed, they knew how to get into the shed, locked shed, or maybe the shed was never locked, it was just closed. So they probably knew where to go within the shed. So this person could possibly work here for the family.
Small gardening tools, nothing of great interest.
Gardening again.
Small garden. Bags of seed. This old suitcase sounds hollow. It must be empty.
Okay, so let's say inside of the suitcase were all the things that they needed in order to commit theft, or maybe the rope was inside of the bag, the suitcase. Regardless, it was an old suitcase, probably used for just storing stuff in. So I'll guess that the rope was probably in there. So yeah, that or the tools that they needed. So I'm gonna go with my guess that the person probably, if they didn't work here, they probably the hell. I'm stuck. Oh, this is the first bug that popped up in the game. Took Toby home. Don't need him anymore. And I proceed back outside.
There's something... There's some...
Strange. Yeah, that's not how that works, but for the game, I guess it's fine.
Silverware. This is hardly a coincidence.
Of course, it's not a coincidence, but it's kind of silly. They stole the silverware and then just decided to throw it down a well. I guess they didn't really give a damn about the expensive silverware. And if they really needed it to sell it or for whatever, they would have took it with them. But they decided to hide it within the compounds of the place for which they committed the murder, as if no one will find it. Seems highly suspicious. Very suspicious. As if they didn't... Seems like they wasn't actually trying to steal something. Like the intention had nothing to do with theft. That's what this is telling me. That this is... Their whole point of being there wasn't to commit theft, but they are known for stealing.
The Brackenstall coat of arms. It appears that we have found the stolen silverware.
So what of it? Okay. So that solves the issue with the shed and with the well. So I should go back. Maybe I should check the shed again.
Bags of seed. Some empty bags were...
There's a statue here. What the hell is this? Something reading material? It's a door. What does it lead to? Probably not relevant for right now. fountain. So nothing here at the moment. Let's go back to the room with the woman and look at the picture.
This photograph of Lady Brackenstall and her maid Teresa was taken at a port, but which one?
So this is from yesterday.
So the lady and her maid came from Australia a year and a half ago on this ship.
1893 on a ship. I'll have to check my newspaper with regards to that. Alright, so from Australia, and I believe it was lonely, no personal life. Yeah, okay, no acquaintances. Alright, now there is a rope, a sailor's rope, but there was no evidence that she was acquainted with a sailor whatsoever. The sailor's rope inside of the shed doesn't mean she's acquainted with the sailor. It just means that the sailor's rope was probably located within the shed. But it seems if the game is throwing in acquainted with a sailor, and for what Holmes assumed that a sailor is involved in this, possibly a relationship with a sailor, then it would make sense that a rope would be present there. But that's too iffy for right now. It would have to be something more concrete for me to go down the sailor's route. Bent poker and fireplace. Okay, so the blood on the side of the fireplace wasn't caused by the poker hitting the man over the head. The blood on the fireplace is caused by spilling from his head, the dead body. Yeah, like I said before, hit him over the head, the blood spilled from the body onto the fireplace. Or like I said in the last video, that's what happened there. The death of Sir Eustace could have been due to his accidentally striking his head on the fireplace. If he accidentally struck his head on the fireplace, then why was everyone saying he took a heavy blow to his head? So death was caused by him falling on the fireplace, but not caused by the blow to his head. Well, it's still not accidental. If someone hit him over the head and he fell and hit his head on the fireplace, someone hitting him over the head caused him to fall, and thus he hit his head on the fireplace. So that it wasn't accidental. It was intentional. So they're trying to put the robbery was fake and the whole story invented in order to blame on the Randalls. So this is the one that makes sense for me to claim that the woman is actually part of the whole conspiracy of the killing. To which I say I have my eye on her. And I blame her from the beginning, but I'm picking this because the game told me when I first started this mission is that you have to look at things scientifically rather than speculatively. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing things based on logic and physical evidence rather than speculation. Accidental is not concrete. Testimonies are more concrete than evidence than assuming that something was faked. So I'm doing things according to concrete stuff rather than the ones that I actually want to pick. Because the game was trying to actually physically trying to shame you for picking things based on the story rather than the science.
We found your silverware, Lady Brackenstall. It had not been taken very far.
Is that true? I am very thankful to you, Mr. Holmes.
Your ladyship?
But here's the thing. This is why I'm very confused with regards to this game sometimes. It talks about science and doing things based on logic, but everything is telling me that this whole thing is fake. Otherwise, if they really wanted to steal, they would have taken the silverware. There were other purposes for the reason why they were here. So, as much as I want to lead into the game's logic and its BS, actually no, I'll keep it that way for right now and see what developments pop up along the way. I know it's actually probably a fake. The whole thing is fake. But I'm theology or feelings, gut feelings.
We found your mistress's silverware.
Oh, that's good news. You really are as clever as they say.
Indeed.
That was very suspicious. Clever. Alright, so I have to continue inspection of the crime scene in the dining room. What are you doing, Watson? Oh, this is Lestrade. I thought it was... I keep confusing him with Watson because of the mustache.
Inspector, I have recovered the stolen silverware.
You are a wizard, Mr. Holmes. And where is it?
In the garden well.
Excuse me?
Unique, isn't it?
Rather absurd. What is the point of stealing silverware and then throwing it down into a well?
Perhaps it was used as a temporary hiding place. Or simply the thieves wanted to get rid of it. It is up to us to solve this mystery. What do you know about Sir Eustace, Inspector? What was his reputation?
A charming man when sober, but an absolute demon when he was drunk. In such moments he was apparently capable of anything. Why, once he splashed fuel on Lady Brackenstall's dog and set it alight. Another day he threw a decanter of wine at Miss Wright's head.
The alcohol seemed to madden him.
To the point that we were forced to intervene several times to avoid a scandal.
Very interesting. This man was known for being very violent. actually wanted to set freaking an animal ablaze on fire. Like, damn, this dude is a monster. I mean, based on the image of his family bloodline, they all look like monsters, which means this guy probably had a huge chip on his shoulder when he was young. He probably treated him like shit when he was young, all about making money, nothing else, and no one else mattered. You take what you get. All of them seems to be pieces of shits. Like, look at this dude's face. Seems to be very stressed because his job is miserable. This dude seems to be very strict and direct and full of himself. This one seems to be an asshole. Has one hand leaning on his side, sideways. This one seems like he might be the worst one of all. But they all seem to look like assholes. Like, not a single one of them don't look like an asshole. Like, he looks like... They all look like assholes. Probably because they were probably all assholes. Every last one of them. Whole family of assholes. Alright, so... And they were probably all alcoholics too. Huh. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see what else. Inspector's tale. Severe drinking. I see he said ladies, but shows dog on fire another time. Okay. I doubt this is it. It doesn't... Sir... I mean, his nature, based on his drinking, says this is it. But a week ago, it's added to this violent behavior thing. Whether the... In other words, an inspector's tale is a tale of knowing who this guy based on his past in totality, where the word a week ago is added as in something of a current event rather than a tale of a definition of a person's existence. But they are like together, so if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. They are rational together. Okay, so that makes sense, obviously. Now, I can't say their criminal identity is where they used a bent poker, or they used a knot to tie her up with, or the rope, the knot rope, was from one of the Randalls. Yeah, I guarantee you it will probably tell me otherwise. If I say criminal's identity is the Randalls and they're the ones that deal with the rope. Okay, if this turned out to be true, rope, and it's a sailor's rope, then one of them was a sailor, which means the rope wasn't inside the shed, they brought it with them. Or, if the rope was inside the shed, someone got the rope from a sailor and put it inside the shed, which means the sailor or whoever worked as a gardener on the premises. Figured they aren't related to each other whatsoever. Sailor's rope, that's an assumption that it has anything to do with them. So Yeah. If it was true and if they were connected, I would say, well, that's kind of weird, but where do I go from there? But I knew it was somewhat not right. So sometimes I'm right about those things, sometimes I'm wrong, but then I'm not really wrong. It's just the game is weird in its definition of what's right and what's wrong. But some are so obviously wrong. It's weird when it actually says, no, this is right. Like, now, that doesn't make sense if you're talking about logic and science. So, thankfully, I was right about this, and all the other ones together. These are unrelated to each other. So, more clues are needed.
The head was cracked with the force of the blow. That must be the murder weapon. Quite a large bare. It is covered.
Alright, there's something else that needs to be inspected here. So, I'm going to do so. I know this is present, and someone cut it. Alright, so let's check the dining table. 3 glasses, and there's the champagne. So these douchebags, they took the champagne. They didn't take the champagne with them, or the wine with them. They just took the wine to have a nice little drink. So they made sure they spend enough time to drink the guy's alcohol in his house before they decide to rob him. And they didn't really rob him, because whatever the silverware they took, they ended up dumping it into the well. So they had no intentions of stealing anything. It seems like if they had enough time to pour drinks, you know, they were probably waiting for him to wake up. This just seems very staged. So, let's see here.
This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing.
What the hell? It showed that I could turn it before.
This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing. This glass. There is beeswing at the bottom, as if the wine had not been decanted before being poured. It is rather strange that only one of these glasses has dregs of beeswing inside it, while the other 2 are clear.
Yes, you're right. That is rather strange. 3 people show up in this house. The Randalls, assuming that's the Randalls. We're going to rob them. And this is assuming that the Randalls were here. But wine was only poured for one. And there's no fingerprints or lipstick or anything here. So whoever drank it quick. So I'm assuming it was to initiate a suspicion of, or to initiate the feel of 3 people here. But why would they be so dumb enough to just pour one? Because there weren't 3 people, and but you know, if you're going to act the part, you would pour all 3 in, and then have some of them drink and some of them not drink, or one of them not drink and one of them drink, unless it really was just one person, and the whole Randall thing is bullshit.
A decanter standing next to the open bottle. An inseparable pair indeed.
I mean, it's kind of obvious in many ways that it's a stage thing from the start, when I probably identified the woman. Probably said, okay, everyone's quick to believe it's the Randalls, so could be the Randalls 3, but based on testimonies saying that there were 3 people, there are 3 people, because testimony, unless the woman and the maid are in it together, they're in it together, and there were no Randalls. They just set the whole thing up. But the blow to his head was severe and with force. So if the maid was the one that did the killing, she would have to use both hands. But also the rope was cut, and the person will have to be tall in order to cut the rope. So it was a tall person. So if it wasn't the maid, then definitely it was someone else. But it doesn't mean that there were 3 people. It just means that it could have been one other person. Maybe this lover of hers.
Chateau Calon Ségur, French wine, Grand Cru.
Now, the only reason I assume lover is because Sherlock Holmes all of a sudden stated that a sailor was involved for a reason, just because he saw a freaking sailor's rope. So the game just threw that out there. So that's why a relationship came into the whole idea of something happening. Pretty sure
Chateau. A decanter standing next to the open bottle. An inseparable pair indeed. A decanter.
I think that's it. That's it for the dining table. And let's take a look at the different chairs. Clock.
This is the... This door.
Okay, doesn't want me to go up there. bees wing. I wonder if there's any type of... Well, it's nice and weird. Sherlock's reflection isn't shown within the glass. I guess that it's not really that important.
There is bees wing. A decanter.
There's nothing else here. I think that's it for inspection. Unless I'm supposed to look at all these damn pictures and statues.
The hunting scene. A deer hunt. A hunter scene. These wine bottles are expensive and mostly from France. This door.
Alright. So that's it for the dining room. Expect crime scene in the dining room. Well, I already did. I think I got almost everything, if not everything. Unless I have to bring Toby back. So one more once over and then I'll go and mind my own business and put certain things together in another room.
Holmes, don't...
There are 3 glasses on the dining room table. I was wondering if...
Oh, I forgot. When I came to myself the first time, Each of them had a glass in his hand. They might have been a father and his two sons. They talked together in whispers, and then they left.
Your ladyship?
Oh, what a horrible thing to have happened.
Yeah, that sounds very weird, Missy. Very weird. They each of them had a glass in their hands, but the father was the one that had the one with alcohol. So they were both too young to drink. Is that what you're saying? They're old enough to commit crime, but they're not old enough to drink? Something weird is about that.
Please leave my Mary alone.
Shut up.
She's suffered so much, she deserves some rest.
I don't think she's suffered enough. I think if she's going to commit crime, she's got a whole lot more suffering coming her way. Called prison. Now let's say Mary is innocent in this scenario. And it is what it is. Then it could only be a situation similar to that of Black Peter. An obsessed and jealous boyfriend. And she's suffering due to the fact that some obsessed, jealous boyfriend wanted to get rid of him. I mean, if these are just three random dudes, then it is her suffering. But if this is, as it's stated, an affair, not an affair of the job itself, but she was having an affair with someone, then it would make sense that she's suffering from the fact of having to be associated with the killer and associated with someone who's a terrible man that she married. That in that sense, I would say she is suffering, and she deserves not to suffer. But for her to do nothing, after being tied up, maybe she can't do anything. Maybe if he's willing to tie her up, maybe, she refused to fall in love with him. And he's one of those Black Peter type dudes, Gardner. Some crazed nut job. I don't think that's the case. I think the whole tying up thing is a ruse. It's either a ruse or it's the truth. It's a Black Peter situation where a guy can't get the hint that she's not interested in him, or it's bullshit and she's trying to get out of a relationship with a guy who's abusive. Like, if he's that abusive to her dog and to her, eventually he'll try to kill her in the long run. That's that type of husband that he is. Maybe she figured that out, and the person who ended up killing him probably did it out of vengeance to protect her. For all I know, could be her father and not her lover or boyfriend. There are two boys with him that are so-called can't drink alcohol, but he's old enough. So it seems like it's leading more towards siblings trying to get her out of a situation rather than an affair of a guy with her. So I'm going to go with the sibling one. But Holmes is not going to go with that. He's going to go with the fact of them being a lover type thing. And I believe that's also the case. But I'm not going to throw away the sibling one. It seems very likely that that might be the case as well. Either one is good. She's either having an affair with someone, or she's in association with those who committed a crime. Either way, she's an accomplice to a crime. If she's not directly the reason that caused this guy's death, she's somewhat associated with them in some way, shape, or form. So my assumption with regards to, and it is an assumption, it's not a truth yet. At the moment, I just need more evidence to prove it. is that she's involved in this. So she didn't fool me with a low performance when I first met her. After I found out who got killed, what way they got killed, and where they got killed, and she was tied up, and she has old bruises and new bruises that aren't fully healed, but it's been like a full day and still look fresh, like she just got it. Like certain things don't make sense. So we'll see.
A decanter standing next to the open bottle, an inseparable. There is This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing. This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing.
Let me look up beeswing, because I don't know what the hell that is. If they all drank, and the two finished their drink before the third, and the beeswing has nothing to do with drinking or not drinking. Okay, let's see. Beeswing. Okay, beeswing is potassium bitarate, segment from winemaking, used in cooking as a cream or tar. Okay, so alright, so when they pour the wine, traces of the beeswings are present within the wine because it comes with the process of winemaking. And it's present within the wine itself. And potassium bitarate, bitarate, or however you want to call it, is also known as potassium hydrogen tartrate. Use of cooking also as a cream, produces a byproduct of winemaking by purifying the fermented part of. Okay. Okay, so it's used for purification purposes within wine barrels. Okay, so it's used for the fermenting process within the wine and placed within wine barrels. Okay. So that means traces of once they poured the wine, if it's within the wine itself, should have been in these empty glasses as well, if it poured directly from the wine. But it's not in here.
This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing.
Okay, unless the most obvious thing is either they didn't drink the wine or they fully drank the wine completely, and a third person didn't finish drinking the wine because they were interrupted. That's the only thing that made sense. All three probably had beeswings in them, and the first two finished the wine, and the third was unable to finish the wine, or took his or her time to drink the wine. Or the third is for the girl herself, the lady herself, and the two are for the criminals. Maybe the maid and the so-called sailor. Okay, it still wants me to check the crime scene. Let me speak to Lestrade, because I think I checked everything in here. Makes no sense.
Holmes?
Lord Brigham Brackenstall, Lord Ramsay Brackenstall, Baron Lyndon Brackenstall, Lord George Brackenstall, Sir Warthen Brackenstall. The Brackenstall family seems rather...
Oh. Please.
Two glasses. Yep. Yep, I'm going with the two people approach, because if it was two people instead of three, the third one would drink it as well. And if the third one didn't drink it, and it was poor for a third person, and the third person couldn't drink it, then the third person was probably the girl sitting in the chair or tied up. And the first two drank it. That's where they fucked up. They both drank it and left it for her. Another rope. Wait a minute, hold on, hold on. If I'm going with the two people approach, then it would make sense that the Rambo were going to be blamed. Yeah, this makes sense. Accidental my ass. It's nothing accidental. If someone hit him over the head, it's not accidental. But yeah, I kind of knew that the Randall whole story is kind of shaky. But whether there's one or the two, I was leaning more towards one rather than towards two.
Oh.
Okay, so I gotta check it again.
Holmes, don't look at me like that. I don't know what to think about all this.
What does Lestrade have to do with all this? When he is writing that letter, Holmes says he's not a man that's emotional, but his writing to us letter seems rather strange.
This door.
Okay, so we got the 3 wine bottles there. We saw the wine that's on the table and the 3 glasses. So this is the wine here.
A bottle of wine is missing here. The criminals did not thoroughly ransack the house. They only took a little silverware.
Okay, so that's it for investigating the dining room. Investigate the murder of Abbey Grange. Okay, so everything is up to date now. I think all of this is still present. Alright, so now I just have to speak to the woman, the maid, and Lestrade.
Holmes, don't look at me like that.
Okay, he says nothing. So, the woman,
Oh, what a horrible thing to have happened.
the maid.
Please leave my Mary alone.
Okay.
She suffered so much, she deserves some...
Okay, so all 3 of them are unspeakable with regards to additional content. And the only thing I have to do now is go back to Baker Street and check out this perform analysis on Lady Bradshaw's chair and the rope attached to the chair to see if it actually can hold someone, tie someone down. Or if it is from a sailor, it should come from a specific ship of a sailor. So let's do that. It's weird I keep hearing Toby at the location, but Toby's not there. So I received 1 bug. So far the story is good. I'm still at 8 with regards to the game, but that 1 bug is not a game crasher or take anything away from the game, because I just traveled to a location and then returned back. So there's a way to get around that bug. But the game is at an 8, still at an 8. The investigation is not overly complicated, but it is interesting. And each investigation, each case is a bit different from the next. So I would say I'll give this one 1 point because for it deviating from how things were done with Black Peter and Riddle on the Rails. This is more similar to Black Peter, but the use of the Bloodhound, and I think this might be similar to Black Peter actually.
Let us see how the rope was cut. The fibers at the end of the rope are smoothly cut. Let us try to find out what tool was used to cut the rope.
Regular player scissors can't cut this type of rope. This is a sailor's rope. What the hell?
The fibers from this cut appear to be different.
Yes, that's because scissors cutting a damn freaking rope. Well, this doesn't seem like a sailor's rope. It seems like the rope of... Oh yes, this is the bell ringing rope, not the rope to tie the woman up with. Oh, wait a minute. Is that what they used to tie the woman up with? The bell ringing rope? So they didn't use the scissors to cut it. So they probably cut it with something, a straight knife.
The fibers from this cut appear to be different.
Okay. Pair of cutters. Scissors, cutters don't work. So a knife will probably be the reason. Be the most logical reason.
If I cut the rope with a knife, it matches the original.
Okay, so a knife was used to cut the rope. Okay, so that would make sense with regards to being a sailor. Rather than use personal tools within the house that they ransacked, they decide to use a knife, personal knife that they would have on themselves. So it would make sense that it would be a sailor's knife. Because it's not like people are going to work, accountants, bankers, newspaper sale guy, and carrying knives along with them. The use of knife is particularly for crafting jobs or manual labor type work. But Holmes deduced that it's a sailor, so it's a sailor's knife. Let's see, rope was cut once. Okay, so that's how he came about thinking that it's a sailor. It was a sailor's knot, and the only person that would know how to make a sailor's knot is a sailor. So, I was curious with regards to what the hell was going on in the game. Like, why would he all of a sudden think it's a sailor? And maybe I missed that section of the story. I believe I might have missed that section of his conversation with regards that it was done as a sailor's knot. I think he had stated that before. A sailor's knot was used in order to tie the woman down. So who would know how to do a sailor's knot other than a sailor? So a sailor was involved in this, and also the knife was present. So that's also makes sense that the person is probably a sailor. Okay, it would make sense. So my suspicion with regards to her being the killer is still in play. Either she's directly the killer or indirectly associated with the killer, so she's associated with the murder in some way, shape, or form. For all I know, she could be the killer. She just doesn't have to be the one that pulled the trigger, but the one that set up the whole damn thing. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. Either this is an obsession by this person who cares about her and wanted to get even with him for marrying her because he is in love with her, and she's an innocent bystander in this, like the wife of Black Peter, which we all know that that's bullshit because she knew of the letter and she could have stopped the gardener from killing his husband or called the cops to remove the gardener from the facility, but she's decided to do nothing. And the same situation would be here. If she had any inkling of knowing that this guy would probably show up or bother her in future, rather than just tell him to get away, she could have easily had called the cops if he assumed that he would be a threat in the future. But she probably didn't see that coming. So it's interesting now that I'm thinking about it. It's trying to put her as the killer, like just like Garrow as the killer, leaning her towards being the killer. But I know that's where it's going, and if that's where it's going, that's why I tag her from the beginning. But I don't believe that's fully the case. So if she's the killer, so be it. She set the whole thing up. If she's not, also so be it, because I know it's not going down that direction. It's too easy. So yeah, if someone else did the killing, then that's the person I would believe is the most likely the killer. But she is involved in some way, shape, or form. That's why I said at the beginning, you don't fool me. You either are the killer or you're involved with said killer in some way, shape, or form. If she truly is an innocent bystander in this, it'll be the same as the wife for Black Peter, and it'll be the same as the shady prototype maker in Riddles on Rails, and it'll be the same as Mr. Phelps in Bloodbath. These are innocent bystanders. They're not directly associated with the crime, even though they are present and in some way responsible for certain actions happening by abandoning their post or not speaking outwards. So it's trying to say that she's also an innocent bystander in this. But this one is a bit more complicated because if she knows what's going on, and I'm assuming if she knows what's going on, then it's a bit more complicated than a love affair thing. If she knows that this guy or whoever person was going to show up here, and she's aware of a crime that would happen, and she allowed for it to happen.
My analysis table. It is useful.
I think I put this together already. I think I did this already, and it said no go. Him having a fractured skull had nothing to do with poker. But what the fuck? Now it's saying it is? I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% pretty sure I put those things together before. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure it asked me, how did he get the hit on the head? Was it from the poker or from falling and hitting his head by the fireplace? And it said no before. I don't know what the hell's going on in this game. Rope was cut once with a sharp knife and tied quickly so as not. And again, the intruder had a sailor's background. Okay. What else? Death of Sir could have happened by poker blow. Accident on my ass. If it was actually poker blow, hit his head. It's from the poker blow that he died. Whether he fell and his head against the fireplace still does not mean it's not from the poker blow. He would not have fall from the poker blow if it wasn't for the poker blow to hit his head on the thing. So it's still the poker blow. So these two are unidentical. These two makes no sense. Silverware found. Witnesses identified criminals in the Suarez Randall gang, and the silverware was found. How are these related to each other? What the fuck is going on in this game? How are they related to each other? Like, I'm pretty sure if the Randall gang goes in and steals stuff, and they were intending to steal the silverware, but the silverware was never stolen, it's not really related to each other because nothing was stolen, unless the whole idea of these things relate to each other is to show that no robbery happened whatsoever at all. It says here, robbery is the motive, confirmed as the motive for the crime. Criminals may have planned return for the silverware, which is dumb, and imitated robbery. The robbery could have been imitated to explain certain as the silverware was not supposed to be found. Both are dumb. Both are dumb. That's why I say, why the fuck are they both related to each other? Both are dumb. If the intentions was the robbers to come back and steal the actual items, it didn't occur to them that someone might find it in a well before they return. Dumb. And then if they had no intentions of stealing it, but it was still there to, to pretend that they were going to steal it, to give the illusion that they were there to steal, that it was the Randall gang was there to steal. So they make off with the silver. Then this will make more sense. But then it will also be foolish because the Randall gang would, if they were there, steal the damn thing. So they kind of fucked up by just putting the silverware down the well. They shouldn't have it on the premises whatsoever at all. The simple fact that they had it on the premises screwed up both of these. So they screwed up. A murderous visitor. Yes, it was a murderous visitor. Of course, he is tall and strong. He was able to cut the rope from a height, possibly a sailor, and possibly someone she knows. Someone who's probably in love with her. Someone who's, if what's stated is true, that one of the gang people hit her across the face, or the one guy hit her across the face, could have hit her across the face for, you were supposed to marry me, but you married this piece of shit. You were gone for about a year and a half. I didn't know what happened to you. I finally found you, and now I find out that you're married to this guy, and he's an abusive guy. Well, logically, if he hit her across the face due to this, he would also be an abusive person, for which she doesn't want anything to do with him either. So both him and Mr. Deadman Eastus were both pieces of shit. So she ran from one situation into another. Is that what the game is telling me? And she's an innocent bystander. It doesn't feel... It's too simple and too clean, but sometimes a spade is a spade. But in this situation, it seems more like she would want to kill Eastus because he is a terrible person who tried to kill her dog and possibly would try to kill her in the future out of his rage behavior. So it seems very unlikely that she would not want to kill him, or she would not want to allow someone to kill him. If this is all accidental on her part, and she is an innocent bystander, she would be happy either way, no matter how you see it. She would be happy either way, because she gets rid of the person who's been assaulting her. Okay. So these things match. Before I thought she wasn't acquainted with a sailor, because I was wondering why the hell did Holmes automatically assume that it was sailor. But then I quickly realized as I'm playing, he said that I missed it before, and that's why I did pick sailor. I missed it before. He said that the knot was tied in a sailor's knot, not any other type of knot, but a sailor's knot. So I missed that part for the reason why I didn't select it before. Not because I didn't know, but I missed the part in the dialogue. Yeah, so look for a sailor. Look for sailor. Person who was visiting that night was probably a sailor. No shit. So all things are linked together. So this one is more straightforward than the last one. Look for a sailor. Now where exactly would I look for a sailor? I would have to go to a specific
What should
place.
we do next, Holmes?
I would have to disguise myself. I would have to dress like a sailor. Would it allow me? I wonder if it would allow me to do so. But it says it's locked here. Yeah, this is locked, so I'm not supposed to do this unless the game tells me to do it. Alright, so look for... The only place I could search for sailors suspects would be at a pub or a sailor depot or a dock. But none of that is present here. I would have to go to this location where she was. And this location is Rock of Gibraltar. 1893. Okay, so I'll check my newspapers for 1893. Or I could check the encyclopedia for Rock of Gibraltar. It would be on R. Would it be on the R? No, it wouldn't be on the R, because this is not art and archives. Technology, history, medicine, botany. Okay, so it ended botany. So it's definitely not this. It's not medicine. Should be on the history. But none of these seems to match. Definitely is not economic science. Okay, so it's basically saying it's not here. None of these fit. Alright, so it'll have to be in the newspaper. $18.93. Okay. East African Company. Hit Rock of Gibraltar rifle. The Rock of Gibraltar, a bulk carrier. Ability Southampton, London line. Start building James Street. Done. 6-month voyage through India, New Zealand, and Australia. Okay. So it was a 6-month voyage. So she was on the ship for 6 months, or the voyage in total was 6 months. So let's say the Rock of Gibraltar started from Australia. It would be 6 months if it went from Australia to New Zealand to India and then to London. That would be 6 months if it started from Australia. That's a long time to be on a ship. So she had a relationship with a guy on the ship for that 6-month period. But it stated within the story that she was in England for a year and a half. So it couldn't have been she was on that ship for 6 months. But it says here, returned from a 6-month voyage through. Okay. So she might have just been on the ship for about a month, most out of that 6 months period. Ship brought to Miss Mary Fraser. Miss Mary Fraser, the Harris of Fraser family, owning land and tin mines in Australia. Mary Fraser. So her last name is Fraser. And she's related to a family that own land, mining lands in Australia. Mining is present again. Same as in the miners, Chileans who wanted to own the mines. Okay, so her name is Fraser, and she comes from a family who owns mines and thin mines in Australia, owning land and thin mines in Australia. So she comes from an influential family, and she's a beautiful young lady, engaged to one of the wealthiest gentlemen in Kent. One of the most abusive gentlemen in Kent. It was a bulk carrier from. It's a bulk carrier, so it was meant to carry tons of people off during long voyages. Okay.
Here it is.
Alright. Task for Wiggins. The address of the Rock of Gibraltar ship owner. We can find the crew list there. Okay, so we'll let Wiggins, our little spy kid, find where this location is. Find where it is. So we'll let Wiggins do the job.
The shipping company, the Adelaide, Southampton, London line, and its address. Interesting. It must be the place where they keep the records, including the one for the crew of the Rock of Gibraltar.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard, they'll give it to you without any problems.
But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
I need a register, my young friend. If you could borrow it, there will be half a guinea for every one of you.
I need the crew list of the Rock of Gibraltar in 1893 and their current employment.
I'm straight on it, Mr. Holmes.
Do you really think they'll find it, Holmes?
My secret police is better than the Yard in many ways.
Here it is, Mr. Holmes. But we can't take it back. It's too risky.
Put it on the table. I'll take care of it. Good work, young Wiggins. This list shows the senior officers of the Rock of Gibraltar, on which Lady Brackenstall and her maid made their voyage. Lady Brackenstall does not know anyone in England. This must mean that someone on this list is our mysterious visitor. And these are the lists of the senior officers of the Adelaide, Southampton, London Line ships. Let us find out who was in London upon November the 7th. This list shows the senior officers of the Rock of Gibraltar, on which Lady Brackenstall and her maid made their voyage. Lady Brackenstall does not know anyone in England. This must mean that someone on this list is our mysterious visitor.
She doesn't know anyone in London, obviously. And see, senior officers. And this list is what?
This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved.
Okay, so Woods is off. Okay, so alright, these are currently where they are right now. Six, 1894 arrival in London on November 12th, 1894. So May 6th, departure from Australia, arrival 1894.
I do not think that this sailor has any connection to the case.
Okay, so Crocker, Admiral Rogers, Captain. James Talcott first. Henry.
This officer is still at sea.
Yes.
He cannot be involved.
Yes, I'm aware. Arrived in London 1894. So anyone who's arrived in London 1894 is still at sea. So the people who got off the Rock of Gibraltar in 1893 are people who would be present here. But if it's stated they're still here, and it's 1894, it will still be at sea. So let's see. Anyone who I see here that's over here will still be at sea. So let's see. Samuel L. James. No Samuel L. James here. So Samuel L. James could have departed.
I do not think that this sailor has any connection to the case.
Okay, but he doesn't think that there's any connection to the case whatsoever, even though he's... But why would he think that? Fourth officer? Because he's a fourth officer? So so he is assuming that first officers and second officers are possibly suspects, but fourth officers are not. Okay, James Talcott is the first officer, and he's not present here as the people who departed, so he's still probably at sea. So Charles W. Wait. He crossed off Woods because Woods couldn't have departed. Yeah. Okay. So Talcott is still at sea, and he's not here. Otherwise, if they put Talcott here, Holmes would cross that off too. So Talcott could have departed.
I do not think that this
But he
sailor
says
has any connection to the case.
yes, because he's not here. But Rogers isn't here either. Can I switch? Yeah. See, Rogers isn't here
I do
either.
not think that this
Yeah.
sailor has any
So it's like
connection to the case.
So like I said, if they're not here, means they're still at sea. But if they are here, Holmes will cross them out. It doesn't really make sense, does it? Because if their names are here, you found it here, as I did Woods, and I found Woods here, he would cross them out and say they're still at sea. But if Woods is not here, but he's still here, he would just say they're not involved. So it really doesn't matter if they're here or here. He would say they're not involved or cross them off. So it's the whole point of this whole thing to just cross off who actually name is here and showed up here as well. It's kind of dumb. Okay, so Charles W. Chills. Okay.
This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime.
Yes. Departed. Fourth officer. But you could say the same thing for him too. Like what the fuck is this, man? Seriously. If the depart from London, England, 17 and then arrive in 1895, then you could say the same thing for this guy too. For Williams. Like maybe that's the whole idea.
This officer was on a ship that
Exactly.
sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the
So
crime.
you would cross that out too. So what the point is that the point of this is just to cross off things to make it seem interesting. For crying out loud. Thomas Walker and Wellington. Oh, okay, so this one say 1895. 1894. 1895. Wait a minute. 1895. 95. 94. So the year doesn't matter? Okay.
Mr. Jack Crocker was in London upon the date of the crime, and he is due to depart in 2 days.
Dates of the crime. Murder date. November 7th, 1894. November 10th, 1894. So, the month matter, but the day doesn't matter? I guess. Let's see. Fine. Let's look at Thomas Walker and Herbert Wellington. Let's see. October, May, November 12th. It arrived there. Thought I went over this one. Herbert is not present here. Thomas Walker. Interesting. October and January, so it's not him. November is Mr. Harper's Thomas Walker. Where's Thomas? Where's Thomas? Thomas. That's October. So it's not Thomas, so let's go back to Mr. Wellington. Withlington, I mean. Where's Withlington? Okay, but Withlington was October. So the only person that makes sense is Jack Crocker. So if I pick Withlington, you'll say no.
This officer is still at sea.
Yeah.
Therefore, he cannot be involved.
And the same would be Thomas Walker. So I'm gonna go with Crocker. What? It wants me to cross them out? I already know it's Crocker. So I have to cross all of them out. Great. Okay. James Crocker. Thomas. Let's go back to Thomas and cross out Thomas.
This officer is still at sea. Therefore, he cannot be involved.
Okay, so I have to cross them out.
Captain Jack Crocker is our mysterious visitor. He was the only one around at the time of the murder.
Well, the month matches, even though the day doesn't match us. But during the month of her being on the high sea, it's probably more than enough for him to be of interest to her. Call Crocker to confront him. Strange.
This Crocker, do you think...
It would be interesting to meet him. Our young friend should be able to find him. Wiggins, could you find a way to bring this Captain Crocker here to us?
Here? Holmes, that could be dangerous.
No problem, Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, I was informed that you were looking for me, and I'd like to know why.
Yes, it is important that we talk. You will soon understand why. You are acquainted with Lady Mary Brackenstall, are you not?
Yes, I think I do remember her, from when I was first officer, but I still don't see...
It seems your relationship went beyond that of mere passenger and first officer.
How dare you?
Indeed, how reckless a feeling is love, particularly if one is prepared to commit a murder in its name.
Explain yourself this instant.
You are aware that the murder made the headlines of the morning press. You read the newspaper report, but to your dismay, found it much fabricated. Once you learned that I wanted to see you, you came straight away. You needed to know what I had found.
You... and what do you know?
That evening, you were with Lady Brackenstall, despite the danger.
I'm not afraid, Mr. Holmes. Besides, all of this is just guesswork.
You would be right if there was no evidence.
What then?
So yeah, we have yet another guy who looks far older than she is, interested in her. I guess that's how things were back in the days. Older men marry younger women. He has honest eyes, saying he's not lying. Strong build means you can easily overpower anyone. Or at least a drunkard. He does carry a knife. Newspaper ink. He was writing to someone. He was reading something. If that doesn't make sense. Like if he's reading a newspaper and newspaper ink got on his fingers, then that means his newspaper is not completely dry, it's still wet. Seems bad for the newspaper to be printing wet stuff, or him to be collecting wet stuff. Or if it's wet from the ink, it could be that it was raining when he was reading the newspaper, or the newspaper got wet and the ink got on his fingers. I mean, he is a man of the sea. Clean boots. Alright, if his boots are clean, then he couldn't have, unless he changed his boots out, he couldn't have had been there within the house. Unless he changed them out specifically. Otherwise, blood would be on them. But what does clean boots have to do with it? I'm trying to understand the logic of the clean boots. Everything else makes sense, but the clean boots doesn't make sense. I mean, if his boots, unless it's saying, for a man who works on the sea, your boots shouldn't be clean at all. It should be dirty and tarsh. And tethered and jagged and frayed and possibly burnt as well and withered and eroded from weathering. So the fact that he has wearing clean boots means that he hasn't been on the sea for some time, or he committed a crime and changed the boots out. That's the only thing that makes sense. But he has an honest face. His eyes are honest, which means he's not about to lie. He has a sea knife, so possible murder weapon, or possible weapon on the site of where the murder happened. Him being strong enough also checked in. Newspaper ink also checked in. Well, not so much the newspaper, but let's see, the boots, the knife, the strong build. The only two things that are off is being honest and the newspaper. If he was guilty, he wouldn't be honest. Like honest, he would try to deviate and find some way to lie. Like if he has a clear look, it could only mean that he has no fear of being caught, if that's what it's going for with regards to honest. So he has 1, 2, 3 things going for him to show that he's the killer, and 2 things to show that he might not be. So I will go with he is probably associated with what's happening in some way, shape, or form. If it's 3, that's overpowered by the other 2. So that's all I could say with regards to that.
Lady Brackenstall was tied to a chair on the night of the murder. And it was you who tied her up.
You call that evidence?
Yes, as she was tied with a sailor's knot. Your handiwork.
So, it's a sailor who's done it. That proves nothing, Mr. Holmes. I'm not the only sailor in London right now. Your theory is flawed anyway. On the night of the murder, I was aboard the Sharp. I was supervising the repair of a porthole.
At night?
It was an emergency. There was a leak. You can ask the ship's carpenter. He can confirm.
I'm sure that he can.
Perfect. In that case, we have nothing more to talk about. Good evening, gentlemen.
Holmes, what should we do now? Would you like to check his alibi?
No. There is no doubt that these men will testify in his favor, and there will be no way to check.
So, what then?
So, we must work with what we have. We have all the puzzle pieces.
Now I understand why you dissected the bell rope.
That makes perfect sense to me. 100%. If he's part of a ship crew, and if they're the ride or die type, they would come to his defense and they would make up a lie to save him because they're friends with him. So his testimony, or should I say their testimony, would make him innocent, and Holmes would look like a laughingstock. So it's more likely to follow a different path in order to snare him. Captain Crocker was aboard the ship the night of the murder. He was not afraid to confront me. He had a confident demeanor. He was confident in his alibi. So he's confident in his alibi. He's lying. His involvement is clear. He appeared as soon as he heard that I was looking for him, thus signaling his guilt. That doesn't mean he's guilty. Like a guilty person would appear to you as soon as he's summoned, under an assumption, unless he's trying to play possum and to play his role as an innocent party. So I'm gonna go with this for right now. I'm gonna play into this. But if I play into this, then it means the sailor route is not involved, but the sailor knot was used. But Holmes says he's obviously lying. Something is not right. If he's lying, which makes sense that his people will defend him, I also believe this. Means it's best to pick this. Yeah, but something doesn't smell right here. I don't believe that. There's little possibility that she and her maid are acquainted with anyone in the country. If there are three people involved, it could be the sailor and two of his friends. I still think there are three people involved. I believe the maid is involved, the woman, and the sailor. I believe that's a lie, but I believe the testimony does point to the Randall gang. Actually, no. It could be just two people, the maid and the woman. Yeah. No, this seems like the dumbest one. If if they actually wanted to rob the silverware, criminals may have planned to return for the silverware that they dumped. But like that's so stupid. Like they stole silverware just to return and steal it? No. Yes, this seems more likely the case. Because if I pick three people, then it wants me to believe that this is true. And it wants me to believe that they actually stole it and threw it down there, which is dumb as hell. So even if I pick this will still be in the red. So I believe there's something missing here. I don't believe this is an accident, so something is off. Yeah, something is off. Like this is definitely can't be an accident. Because if someone hit him in the head and he fell and hit the damn fireplace, it's still murder because the person hit them. Even though the person didn't want to kill them, the person still died from falling and hitting the head, which is still murder. So one of these three are wrong. If I go with the Randalls or the gang, then I have to change it from, yeah, two people, three people, it doesn't make a difference. I would have to go with Randall gang are actually stealing, which is completely dumb as hell. Yeah, it's dumb as hell. It's dumb as balls. So the Randall gang thing is completely stupid. So I have to go with the sailor's approach. I have to. And the sailor's involved, but who's he involved with? The maid? I think so. If my thoughts with regards to the wife is untrue, and I believe she's involved, and she could be an unwilling accomplice, or she could be actually a person intending for him to die. If she's involved in some way, shape, or form, it's either as unwilling or intentional. And if the maid is involved, is as unwilling or intentional. So it's the maid and the sailor, or the maid and the woman, or the woman and the sailor together. Now this is called an affair. The Abbey Grange Affair. So it could have been she was having an affair with the sailor, but here's the thing: she's very young. She's very young, and he looks quite old. So, and it seems more likely that the affair would be with the maid than with the woman herself. And the intentions was to kill Sir Eustace for this woman by sending word to the sailor to do him in. while making her life easier. Because she did say, haven't this woman suffered enough? So it would make sense that the relationship is with the maid and the sailor. But I cannot get around the fact that the name of this case is called the Abbey Grange Affair. So if we're talking about affair in relations to an event rather than affair in relations to two people, then if it's not the wife and the sailor, then the whole name of the affair thing is stupid. But if it's with the sailor and the maid, then it makes sense. But the story is not about the maid. The story is about the wife and the dead husband. So that's where things are. So I still think the wife is involved somehow, either as unwilling to go along with this little murder or is in charge. Alright, so I'm gonna go with this because the whole Randall stuff is completely stupid. It seems unlikely that the maid and the woman aren't involved. But if they truly are not involved, then he wanted to have a relationship with the girl. And when he discovered that they were married, out of fit of rage, he decided to, because they were involved, which means he was involved with him willingly. And maybe they made promises to each other. Out of fit of rage, he went there and killed him after he discovered that he's an abusive husband. Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense. And how will he know this? Unless the maid told him. Or she sends letter. The wife sent letter to her lover, who is the captain of the ship. So I'm going to go with this and end it off here. Maybe this is the fourth story. I believe this is the easiest of the previous three. Simplest of the previous three. I didn't need spotlights for this. I think this one was very straightforward. And I gave it 1 or 2 points with regards to how it set up things with regards to Toby and the murder and the sequence of murders and who's possibly involved and timelines. So right now I'm at like a 8.2 regards to the game itself. It was fun and it was interesting to use Toby, but it wasn't that complicated. So for this case, I only gave it 2 points, whereas the previous case I gave it probably 4 or 5 points. Actually, mostly 4. So yeah, I'm gonna confirm this, so I can be done with this.
Could you ask Mr. Crocker to come here again, please?
Right away.
Why did you make me come here again, Mr. Holmes?
It is over. I know that it was you who killed Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
What?
I know, because of the height at which the rope was cut. The knife used was a sea knife. The knots were sailor's knots, and not least the sheer force that was put behind the killing blow. And because you are the only one who knows Lady Mary Brackenstall in London. And because you love her.
It's true.
It is time for you to tell us the whole truth.
I admit that I loved Mary madly from the first day that I met her. But I never did come to visit her, for I believed that she was in a happy household. When I talked to her maid, who told me everything, I was insane with rage. I was due to set sail for 6 months away. I wanted only to see her again. But it turned into a damnable nightmare when he barged in. He dared raise his hand to her. He was not even worthy of licking her boots. Oh, I regret nothing. I admit I killed the monster out of love for her. She will forgive me if she is able.
The case is
Lady
solved.
Brackenstall already forgave you. She said nothing.
Mary.
But that makes her an accomplice as well as her maid. It places her in danger yet again.
Yes.
Mr. Holmes.
You would not have managed to protect her.
Till I die, do you hear me? Here is a letter that sets everything clear, and it is the one that should be disclosed to the police. I am the only culprit. Mary had nothing to do with it. Now it is time to end this.
What the hell? Okay.
Watson.
It's over, Holmes.
No, it's
We can
not.
do nothing for him now.
Thought I was fast
Here
enough
is a
there.
case that
Okay, so here's the situation. If everything he says is true, which I knew it wasn't Randall's, I knew it was some type of bullshit, and he openly admitted that he was there, so he actually hit him over the head. Great, but that does not explain Miss Brackenshaw being tied up with the rope. Why did he need to tie her up for? If he went there to confront her and speak to her about him being an abusive husband, why did he go ahead and tie her up for? That's because he didn't tie her up, or he did, at the behest of the maid and Miss Brackenshaw herself. Or the most obvious of obvious. Miss Brackenshaw was fully aware that this man that loved her would show up after the maid spoke to her, but she didn't have no idea that he would assault the husband and kill him. But she was smart enough to know that if a dead body is seen inside the house, she would possibly get blamed. So yada yada yada. Her and the maid came up with a nice little excuse in order to get themselves out of the situation. Maybe he was still present there while they decided to do the whole tie-up thing. What I don't get is, what's the point of the 2 glass with the wine and the 3rd glass having the actual wine inside of it? So it seems like they were about to celebrate 3 glasses. 2 for 2 people who drank the wine, and the 3rd for the third person who didn't drink the wine, the person who was tied up, which was her. So 3 people were involved, the maid, him, and the woman. So they were well aware of what they were about to do, or they were panicking after he did it, and they came up with the idea of tying her up and stuff. So yeah, like I said, that woman is somehow unwillingly, or willingly involved in this case in an attempt to kill her husband. Either way, through her maid or through the sailor. Or she's satisfied with them killing the husband, and she wants to make sure she's not involved. So she's fully aware that what had happened, not that she wanted him to die, but that she's trying to escape persecution for being involved as an accomplice in a murder, which she could have clearly just gone to the police and tell them, hey, this guy killed this person. But she didn't say that. She made up a story. She tried to save her own ass and him because he's in love with her. This makes her an accomplice to a murder. I did say, you don't fool me at all, lady, when I first started. There's something about you. As soon as I read certain case or should I say, as soon as I saw certain evidence present within the death of this person and her story and the bruise on her body and her age and that he drinks a lot, something was off. Something was very off. And that she is very young. Yeah, I knew something was off. And I knew she was directly or indirectly involved with pulling the trigger to kill her husband. It's more indirectly, but doesn't really matter. She's involved in the killing of her husband, not wanting him to die, but willing to cover up his death.
Didn't end as I had expected. It is entirely my fault. I know that you have already drafted a summary of the case.
No, I'm gonna redo this. I'm gonna try to shoot it out of his hand. I want to see what the woman say. I know she was playing possum from the beginning. I just needed to know exactly how. Did she exactly pull the trigger herself? Or did she allow for the trigger to be pulled and did nothing? Alright, so let's try this again. This time try to shoot the gun out of his hands.
Wiggins.
Why did you make me come here again, Mr. Holmes?
It is a... I know... And because...
It's true.
It is... Lady...
Mary.
But that may...
Mr.
You...
Till I... Now...
What the hell? I just shot the goddamn thing out of his hands. What the fuck is going on? The damn R2 button is for shooting. What's wrong with... Wait, what? No, I don't accept... Oh, for Christ's sakes. I accidentally pressed the wrong button. No, I don't like that at all. Let's reset. What? Are you shitting me with this? Okay, so you're telling me that once I made the decision's final. So if I accidentally press the button and finally confirm, it automatically saves it over the save slot of that thing, and I can't go back and see the real decisions of what I made. So out of frustration and pressing the button too fast, I cannot see the previous story. I would have to... Can I at least try to... Can I at least try to go back and see if I could skip many things in the story? No, it really doesn't. It auto saves over. Let me look at this. Let me see if I can manually save in a manual save slot that's not associated with this.
Aim the foot, not a word. Into your clothes and come.
Okay, resume. Options. I'm gonna continue this. And I want to see what happens.
I'll wait for you in the sitting room. I've just received a note from Inspector Lestrade. A letter from the suburbs. He is in need of my presence. Whenever he has asked for my assistance, it is all...
So that 8.2 I gave to the game, I'm going to take it back. 2 points off. I didn't realize. Okay, see, this is the thing. All the way in past the first 3 cases, all the way into this 4th case, I never pressed the button fast enough to alter my decisions. I always went back and made sure I made the decision specifically so that I don't make the mistake of pressing the button too fast. But that is also an issue, a very bad thing with regards to the game, the mechanics of the game. Because out of frustration, if you're frustrated about how the game is designed and how the story is progressing, or even not out of frustration, let's say you're turning away just to drink something or to eat something, or you completely just forgot just for forgetting sake and you press the wrong button, it doesn't save on a separate save slot. It saves over your last save, which means you have to do the entire thing all over again. So I'm taking 2 points away from the game for that. It's not an 8.2. It's right back to its 8 again. Very poor. That's very bad.
Always turned out to be entirely justified.
Oh,
See, now I could just continue game, press options, autoplay, and all buttons, and main menu. So there's no way to do anything, even if I try to speed up the story.
Oh. I can tell from Lestrade's handwriting that he...
So, so you believe that Sir Eustace is dead?
I should say so. Lestrade wouldn't have sent for me for less. His writing shows considerable agitation, and he is not an emotional man. Well, it is all thanks to Lestrade. He wrote his letter at 3:30 in the morning. Imagine the chain of events before that. The local police had to be called in. Much time has been wasted. Let us find a cab and go to Abbey Grange immediately. I live in hope of an interesting morning.
So this is like total bullshit. Like complete bullshit. Complete and utter bullshit. Because now I have to go over the entire fucking mission simply because I accidentally pressed the wrong button. I really should take a full point off from this game for that. But I only took 2 points off. Normally that would piss off anyone to no ends. Actually, now I think about it, if I wasn't me and the game I was a random person, that would piss them off to no ends. That if I accidentally pressed the button and I had no intentions, that would be something, and that should be something that people who designed the game should have thought of. So I'm not taking 2 points off of that. I'm taking 4 points off for that.
Ladies, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting Inspector Lestrade in this investigation.
Mr. Holmes.
Can you just... Did you mention...
He was not a nice man when he was drunk, and he suffered from dark moods, but nothing else.
Your ladyship? Teresa.
As I said,
What's weird about Teresa is that when I first came into the room, she had like fully black hair, and then all of a sudden there's some grays in this hair. Like whoever did the design was rushing this, or they did it accurately the first time, and then actually no, they rushed it the first time, and then they decided to give the maid gray hairs thereafter.
This photograph.
This really is pissing me off, man. I have to do this crap all over again.
So the late. A trap. A trapper's hut. A trapper's hut. This. Lady... Your ladyship? Let us try to open this. This safe can be cracked. I only have to pay it. Antique. Antique. It is.
Oh, what a horrible thing to...
Sir Eustace. The description of the Randall gang provided by Lady Brackenstall is identical to the one in the Times article. What do you...
You should examine the body of Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
A decanter standing next to the open... This glass... There is bees... It is rather strange. Chateau... This... I will take it... This is the... These... A bottle of... This candle. These wine. The criminals did not thoroughly ransack the house. They only took a little silverware. The head, that quite a lot. That it is covered. It appears that the bell rope was cut by someone taller than me.
Officer.
There are 3 Your ladyship?
Please leave my Mary alone.
I can't believe this crap, man.
Let us see how the fibers. Let us try to find out what tool was used to cut the rope. If I cut the rope, come on, Toby. We need the best nose in the British Empire on this case. Search, Toby.
What's weird about this game to me is that they could have used Watson in the first mission. along with Holmes, and then use Toby in the second one with regards to riddles on the rails, or in the third one for that matter. But it's like they were...
The intruders entered the shed for some reason when they were making...
It's like they didn't have time to decide, hey, you know what? We don't have time to code for a dog or to code for Watson. So every time we make one of these missions, we're going to add someone to it in order to make it seem like there's more content going on.
Leads to the well. I should check it.
I mean, they could have used Watson from the very beginning in the mission. Or Toby.
The intruders... The criminals left the house through the French window. They walked to the shed, then across to the well, before fleeing by climbing over the wall. I wonder why they chose such a winding route.
And that's why I keep saying, like, if it was simply out of rage this sailor killed them, why go through the whole process of stealing silver, throwing it down a chest, then hopping over? The whole damn thing seems to be premeditated. Not just as simple as this guy going into a fit of rage and then killing Eustace.
There's... I need a...
So from what I could gather, there's more than 4 missions. So even if this game goes into like 2's category, 8.2, 8.3, like if I ended off with it being an 8 because I dropped it like 2 points and then I dropped another 2 points, so I'm now back at 7.8 category. There's yet another mission, so I would say in total this game falls into the low 8s category if the 5th mission is the last mission.
Bags? This hook might be useful.
And what was the deal with the suitcase?
This old suitcase sounds hollow.
Yeah, what's the point of this, and what's the point of the whole seeds thing? There's a lot of things present in the game that he identifies has no relevance towards anything. And if they are relevant in any way, shape, or form.
If only I had...
It has to be clear. Like if they're present, they have to be clearly explained.
Silverware. The Bracken... We found your ladyship. We found your Miss... You...
Okay, so the dialogue, the silverware is done, but with regards to this, isn't done. So I have to investigate.
Oh, what a horrible
Wait.
thing.
Is it dialogue? It's not dialogue, it's research archive. So I have to search my archive. So let's head back there. Go to my archive. I really don't have to go back to my archive. I mean, all I gotta do is go back to my carriage, and then my archive is in my carriage. But I'm taking Toby home. Alright, so let's go back.
Here it is. The shipping company. Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
At your service.
This is so ridiculous, man. I don't know how much of my time is wasted this way.
Can't take it back.
Just because I accidentally press a button.
Put it on the table. I'll take care of it. Good work, young Wiggins. This list... And these are the lists. I do not think that this sailor... Mr. Jack Crocker was in London upon the date of the crime, and he is due to depart in 2 days. Captain Jack Crocker is our mysterious visitor. He was...
This Crocker.
Wiggins.
Mr.
You are acquainted... Lady Bracken.
You call that evidence? Perfect. In that case, we have nothing more to talk about. Good evening, gentlemen.
Holmes.
So,
Now I understand why you died.
Thankfully, I'm able to do it fast. I mean, since this one is not as long as the other three, I'm able to do it pretty fast and get things connected pretty quick. So hopefully I don't pressed the wrong button again. This time.
Wiggins.
Why did you make me come here again, Mr. Holmes?
I'm gonna skip it this time. No mistakes.
You should have let me die. How can I live if Mary suffers?
I am sorry, Captain Crocker, but there has been quite enough death in this case. Inspector, I give you Sir Eustace's killer. He tried his best to perform his own justice.
Well, I'm not surprised. Yes, it was me. I confess.
Here is a piece of evidence that can be used in court.
Perfect. A case that went smoothly for once.
Yes, but here's the thing. It does not justify tying up portion and the throwing away of silver. See, that's the thing that doesn't make sense to me. Why go through the whole process of stealing silver and then tying up silver and throwing it away? That doesn't make sense. If he's involved and if he does admit it and he does say and he is the criminal, it makes sense because that's the person I was going towards. But I also know, as Holmes stated, that the woman, is involved in some way, shape, or form with regards to the killing of her husband. It says here, Sir Eustace was murdered by Captain Jack Crocker, who was visiting Lady Bradshaw that night. They staged it as a robbery by the Randall gang. Crocker used his sea knife to cut the bell, rope lady to tie up the lady, and then hide the silverware in the well. He committed a violent crime. So, yeah, that's how that went down. So, the maid could be involved as well. What would have been better for this is if they had shown the girl herself being caught and Holmes finding out and say, hey, you're involved in this as well. You didn't directly kill this man, but you then went about trying to save your lover from getting the hangman's noose, which makes you an accomplice to a murder, which means you, the woman, didn't care that he committed murder. In fact, you were damn happy that that guy is dead, for which you were trying to save his ass. She lied the whole way through, so I knew she didn't pull the trigger, but I knew she was involved and was guilty in some way, shape, or form for the death of this guy. Yep, so she didn't directly kill him. Like, she's the person that murdered him. But nor did she hire someone to kill him. But she indirectly killed him once the maid went to the sailor, the person who had an affair with. I'm assuming that she gave the maid a telegram to give to the sailor. Otherwise, the maid would voluntarily decide to go and inform the sailor by visiting him or sending him a telegram to say, you got to do something about this husband because he's brutalizing his wife, the woman you love. So the maid knew about the lover, the sailor, and decided to voluntarily do things on her own without the wife knowing that she's going to do this. Highly suspicious and unlikely. So in many ways, it seems like the wife wanted to premeditate this murder without directly doing so. Or she was glad that things went the way that she thought they were going to go. That he was going to do something to Mr. Eastis. Maybe not murder, but to put him in check. So she's in just like Black Peter's situation. She is somewhat guilty of not doing anything when she was fully aware of what was going on. But this one, she is more guilty than the wife of Black Peter because she was aware that the murder happened and she did nothing and decided to cover it up. So yeah, I knew she wasn't fooling me from the jump after her black eye story and after she's stating the time in which she went to sleep and the time for which she woke up and previous bruises done by her husband before and her age and a whole lot of other factors that didn't quite add up, including once I found the silver within the well, that's when I knew there was 100% confirmed shenanigans was going on, some weird shit, and I knew she was involved in some way, shape, or form. Because the storing and getting rid of the silver, stealing silver seems to be poor for criminals to take who are notorious for stealing. They could have stolen anything that was far more expensive than that. So the first big mistake was them leaving the silverware on the premises. The second big mistake, or should I say the first big mistake, was stealing silverware instead of something more valuable, such as the money inside of the safe area, and two, dumping the silverware inside the well rather than taking it with them. So yeah, I'm accepting this decision. Sad that I had to redo it because I pressed the X button fast, but yep, that's the end of the second story. Apparently there's a fifth story, so I'll see how that goes. Let's see what time is it right now. 3 hours in. I'm done with this. Yeah, so far, because I pressed the X button accidentally, which is my fault, but at the same time, I know one thing. If you're going to design a game and you're going to make people have decisions with regards to making choices, you should at least offer the ability to have the save on a separate slot, because if you do autosave bullshit, save over last save. It doesn't remember your last mission because it doesn't care. It's just a machine. So I retract my statement rather than take. No, not really. Because if I was a random person, I would be real pissed off by that. So yeah, I'm at a 7.8 with regards to this. I could keep it at a straight up 8, but the fact that they didn't have the option of having a separate save that is autosave and whatever was your last save get overwritten automatically is very bad. So that's not good. It should be separate save. This game is pretty old. This game is not a new game that came out last year or even 5 years ago. So the fact that they didn't have like a separate save is saying that how that's bad game design. All games should have save slots, whether it's a game that came out 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or just last year. So yeah, I'm at a 7.8 with regards to this game. Everything was interesting, and I was giving it points as the story was progressing, 2 points. But then I fully realized I pressed the button accidentally, and then it came to my mind, and I completely understood what was going on. Whoever designed the game with no save slots, separate save slots. So you will always be screwed over whether you accidentally or intentionally press the button. So yeah, 7.8. I'm done for this today. Hopefully the next mission is just as short as this one, and it is the last one, because if this game is telling me that there are more than 5 stories, I was like, okay, this is some strange shit, man, because this game is long, and I like the fact that it's long, but if it's more than 5 stories, then I'm going to start to say, well, there's nothing really great about all these stories, other than how you solve the puzzles. So I'm starting to feel a bit of fatigue now with regards to this, the Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishment, because the stories aren't that great, even though the way you solve them are great. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe the fifth one will be great. Either way, at the end of the day, I believe before this game is fully over, it will be in the low eights territory, or low eights to mid eights territory. I believe that most you could give this game is mid eights. Anyone who has this game in 9 territory, I know is probably full of shit, or a fanboy Sherlock Holmes. So this game is a game that belongs in like mid eights to low eights category. At least that's how I feel because of everything I've been playing. I have to be realistic when it comes to certain games and take your own prejudice out of the game and see it for what it is. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to eliminate my own personal prejudice to the game, but certain things just don't make sense. Like the logic of it talking about science and ignoring story doesn't make sense when it ignores the story. Go for the science in one mission or one case. In another case, it goes for the story instead of the science in another. So it's very strange. And then having, you know, choices on what you want to see as a story as the ending rather than the truth. The truth is more present here in this story, but it's not really because you could pick the Randalls as the killer. So there's no true ending that the game gives you. It's interpretation ending. If you pick the wrong ending, the game should tell you that even though you pick the ending you want, it's still not the true ending, but the game doesn't tell you that. So that's the bad part about Crimes and Punishments. It's interpretation endings without a resolve true ending that is telling you this is the true ending, this is not the true ending. There has to be a true ending. If it doesn't really need to tell you this, but how would you know which is the true ending and which is not the true ending? You don't know. You would have to go online, look it up, like it's some freaking Dark Souls game on how to do things. And that's not good when you go outside the game to know the true motives of what should be present inside of a game. So no, I'm calling it a day for right now. I got other stuff to do. I gotta go to work later tonight, and I gotta do some workout. Plus I gotta farm for Orexia and Warframe stuff. So far this was better. This was better than Black Peter, and it wasn't better than Riddle on the Rails, and it wasn't better than Bloodbath, but it was shorter, it was straight to the point, and it was just like Bloodbath was one that actually admitted killers admitting that they actually committed a killing, one by accident and one intentionally. So these are the first 2 ones where people actually admitted that they were killers. So I would say the first 2 cases were still left unsolved and not completely solved, because no one truly admitted there were killers in there, even though I know exactly who the killers were in those. The clues and the deductions was fighting me on both those things. So no matter what I picked in Riddle on the Rails, it was unwilling to give me my result that I wanted. So I couldn't do anything, and I wasn't going to waste time on Black Peter and Riddle on the Rails. So I don't know. It's just sometimes certain things are missed. It's just the way it is, but I'm not going to waste my entire life trying to find out what that is. So moving on to the next one, the following day, maybe tomorrow. So far, game 7.8 for me, and about 8, I would say 8 for overall for the game right now. So for me right now, it's at a 7.8, the most I could give it. And if I wasn't me, it would be at a solid 8 right now. So points going up, points going down. It all depends. The ending, if the fifth case is the true ending to this game, and I can finally close out this game, boom, it has to be something that's greater than the first 4 cases. It has to be greater. That's it. I'm choosing this. Your ranking, personality ranking, just. Okay, so this is the first one I actually got that was good. My decision was a just decision, so I'm satisfied with that.